Hey everyone. Second live stream in a row after I took a bit of a break. It's nice to be back. Yeah, this video has a bit of continuity with the last one actually. Because my last video, if you didn't watch it, listen to it, I guess, was, can I even really call them videos? I'm gonna call them audios, maybe from now on. But it was about just a breakthrough with joy and how I got there basically through an FE experience. Yeah, and today, actually like an hour ago, I wouldn't call it joyful. Had a lot more of a melancholy tone, but that's totally okay. Cathartic, I would say. FI experience. So, oh my gosh. Basically, what happened, referring back again to my last video, that I was just like riding this wave of joy that kind of blossomed into peace. I felt really grounded and really connected to my environment. I was just chilling out, listening to records, smiling to myself. And I know that when I posted my last video, I talked about that like fun conversation I had with a new person that inspired this. But also, to be perfectly honest, what gave me that breathing room to experience that joy and peace was the fact that I had gone a few days without speaking to my mother. Without getting into too many details, like our relationship isn't great. And yeah, so I had that space to breathe. And today, after I sent some angry messages to her a few days ago, she came into my room like demanding what that was about and if I wanted to talk about it, but was being like really hostile. You know, like she often is. And so quickly, my heart started to race again. I felt like I was in more physical pain. Just a lot of chronic physical health symptoms that had started to subside in her absence just hit me again. Like a ton of bricks, I guess, for lack of a better metaphor. And, you know, with those physical symptoms came the emotional symptoms, or just like feelings of, like, I guess I'm flexing on my FI right now, despair, profound loneliness, anger, incredible fear of what would happen to me next. It's hard to support yourself when you have lots of different disabilities, and I want to very much, but you know, the struggle is real. And needless to say, this experience did not leave a positive mark on me, or an encouraging one. So one of the many conditions that I struggle with is endometriosis. If you don't know what that is, basically tissue similar to uterine tissue grows outside of the womb, forms adhesions, pulls a bunch of things in different directions. It's one of the most painful conditions a human being can have, but it's thoroughly under-researched. And I'm dealing with it, but recovery isn't linear. And I think about the emotional causes and correlations that come with dis-ease, and the kind of intergenerational trauma in particular of endometriosis. And I won't get into that too much because that deserves its own video. Maybe not on this channel, I don't know. My wheels are turning in my head. But anyway, yeah, I think there's something to be said for having like abuse and trauma around the person that birthed you, and having your birth organ dislodge, fall down from its base, seep into other areas of your body. It doesn't feel supported, literally, emotionally, ethereally. So that's interesting, and that's something that I'm aware of, and I'm trying to like be kind to myself about. And okay, bringing some cognitive functions into this. So I think ENFJs, we're known to burn ourselves out caring for other people, and that's definitely like a theme I've been noticing in my life, in particular, like just a call to set boundaries, but also to do like self-care things, especially physical self-care things. Why? Largely the typology conversation, like the MBTI conversation, around that has to do with like SI, point of least resistance. Blind spot, as a lot of people call it. I don't like to call it that. I don't think that is a great association for visually impaired and blind folks. So I like to say weak spot. It's more vague in general. But anyway, yeah, SI weak spot. And, a lot of self-care is SI, like anything from running yourself a luxurious bath to like making sure to feed yourself fucking breakfast, And while I think that yesterday's joy removed some of my shame around SI and allowed me to do SI things for myself, what doesn't get talked about in typology community as much with ENFJs is, but I see this talked about in non-MBTI terms outside, is that self-care also involves valuing yourself. And because, fifth slot, FI, like for me, it doesn't take that seventh slot, even eighth slot attention in the conversation. So I think it's often like kind of swept aside, not really talked about, but I'm here to talk about it right now because holy shit, fifth slot, FI, or just not even fifth slot, just removing it from stack mentality for a second, just FI, self value in the most positive way, shook my fucking world tonight. How did this happen? Well, here's the thing. So, have to get back into uterus talk for a quick sec. Deal with it. People have uteruses. Obviously, if you have medical squicks, that's valid, and like take care of yourself. But like having a uterus is something a lot of people have, and it's not gross. So shut the fuck up. Anyway, yeah, I was having some pain, and I was like, fuck, what the fuck is going on? And I know this is associated with like ENFP SI grip, but I too need to sometimes obsessively research what the hell is going on with my body, thanks to some specific like PTSD stuff. And, you know, my TI wants to know that shit. It wants to organize that information. Even though I'm often right, it's not necessarily helpful. And it's hard to remember that, you know. But I was remembering, I was just like reading something that struck me as really true for my body. And it echoed things that other healers had told me. And I was like, fuck. And the particular thing that I read, I won't get into it, but it really grossed me out and it really scared me. I immediately just like had this like SENI visual in my head of like it happening in me. And even like the SI going like, where has this happened before? How do I know? Blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I started to spiral into a bit of a panic. So here's where FI comes in. And I feel like I've been kind of training my FI self-value muscle in by, I don't know, reading self-care theory and like all of that, and also by helping other people use it, ironically. But I hadn't quite successfully. Sorry, my cat. I haven't quite successfully been able to do it for myself until tonight. And what happened was almost automatic. Like, I just instinctually, like, rubbed my hand comfortingly over my womb space and said, I think out loud to myself, um, it's okay. It's okay. And then something just, I don't know, washed over me. And the next thing I know, I'm sobbing. And I'm saying to myself, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, body. I'm sorry. Um, as you can probably tell from my voice, it was really profound because we all, especially you know, women's, especially femmes, especially people who are both, spend a lot of time just fucking tearing our bodies apart with criticism, and sometimes even physically. Introduce eating disorders, you know what I mean? And actually, if I think about it, someone on my Instagram that I follow had written herself. I think she's an I think she's an ENFJ actually. She had written her body an apology, and she struggles with body dysmorphia too. And I guess that kind of cataloged into my head to be taken, like, used, I guess, hours later. Yeah, because before I know it, I'm apologizing to my body. I'm apologizing to my womb. And it was interesting because it kind of partially felt like an apology I had always been waiting for externally, but never got. And I was awash with the power to give it to myself. And I was like, whoa, fuck, this is something. This is real. And I walked downstairs and I had a very, I don't know, animist moment. My hand was on the railing. So I was walking down the stairs and my entire staircase is wood. And I suddenly was aware that, holy shit, a bunch of trees gave up their life to house me. Whether or not they knew, you can argue that all you want, but that's what happened. That's what happened. And that knowing washed over me. And I hugged the railing and I said, I just kind of started sobbing again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this home. And it was even more profound because I made a no contact boundary with my mom today, which is partially where all these feelings are coming from. And it was very bittersweet because it also felt like a goodbye to this physical space that I adore so much. I love this house. And that interaction, that feeling, fed back into my good grace for my body. It's funny how respecting the bodies of non-humans can do that, you know? And I started to like rub my body again, and I think I told me that I loved me a few times. And I told myself, I told me that it's going to be okay. And I think I tried to access that knowing before through some kind of TI grip, you know, trying to figure out how the fuck am I going to live, make on welfare until I make the transition to disability, until I make the transition to entrepreneurship, until I make the transition to this and that, and transition here, transition there. I just want stability. I'm a Cancer fucking rising, like, fuck, you know? And that's not the way to inner peace. It's not the way to acceptance. Sometimes you need that critical eye to get yourself out of danger, but you can't really make a life out of danger either, you know? I always say, you know, sorry. But like, you know? And that FI self-value was just so missing. And there's something about, for me, for my sweet bird brain, about having like a framework that stands on its own in its own theory to apply to my lived experiences that really delivers messages home for me in ways that free-floating nuggets of wisdom don't always. So even though I have my qualms with typology and typology community, I'm so fucking grateful right now for this framework to really hold this idea in my head and give it permanence. Hold this experience and give it permanence, maybe where my unnamed weak SI wouldn't. Yeah. And I know I said I would make a video about this, and I swear I will. It's just going to be a lot to unpack, so I've been kind of procrastinating. But, you know, a lot of the content I make is for the lost ENFJs out there that, you know, not only are mistyped, but are mistyped because they are lost. And even if they're typed correctly, that are just feeling like off the very beaten path, that are feeling beaten themselves. And, you know, I may share personal things a lot more than your average ENFJ, but like really it has a purpose, you know, like I want to connect. And that FE connection is great, and obviously kind of literally, can I say literally, sort of, not literally versus metaphorically, but literally as in actuality, like it runs my life, that FE. But you know, your fifth function is often, I don't know if this is just like a C.S. Joseph thing. I've seen a couple of his videos here and there, or if this is a wider framework, but your fifth slot function is often considered to be like your nemesis, the person fighting your hero. And I just think it's interesting and kind of sad that we don't value that challenge and that hero is glorified and nemesis is vilified. Like, even think about that language. Like, really think about it. And in a recent tweet, yes, I'm on Twitter now, follow me, Faye _ the _ ENFJ. I referred to fifth slot as an antagonist. And the reason I did that is because even though the word antagonist still has like a lot of narrative negative connotations, thinking about, science and pharmacokinetics and shit, all antagonists do is, I don't know how to put this visual into words, I guess, but like push for new action. By, I guess, blocking something. And it's like I had to put a cap on that FE search for love and let my FI feelings build up until they burst and washed over me in the best way. And I'm so glad they did. And I feel so much tension like releasing from my body. And sometimes it comes back and I'm just like letting it go again and just trying to be mindful and sit with all of these feelings that I'm not used to sitting with and I'm used to solving. Because that's what NFJs, especially ENFJs, I think, try to do with our feelings. We try to solve them a lot. We're probably a lot more cognizant of them than maybe T types, but yeah, we still deal with them that way. Yeah, I think I saw a live chat thing. So let me get to that. Oh, hi Grace. That's so beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, it was just a really beautiful experience and I'm just sitting here in awe of the emotions and what we in a modern Western context call physiology. And with each passing day, I realize how that binary is so reductive and largely untrue. And even science is catching up to that ancient knowledge. And my ancestors knew this, and I've always known this truth. And I just want to walk the world in a way that makes them proud. And I hope that today was a chance to do that. I know there's 4 people with me right now. If you have any questions or comments, now is a great time to field them. Otherwise, I will probably just let you go. So I'll just sit around for a minute, take a sip of my raspberry tea, and marvel at the fact that I talked for 25 minutes straight without too much trouble. So that was cool. I really hoped it would make a slurp sound, but it did not. Yeah, bitch. I love that. Maybe you don't like that. I don't know. I don't know. In ASMR videos, I'm kind of a fan of a lot of mouth sounds, so taking that into consideration for future videos, because I also promised I would make another one, and I actually really want to. Oh, a comment. Jeffrey Sherman, I'd just like to say I love how awake you are. I look forward to the video on intergenerational trauma. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I want to make a video on the importance of understanding neuroplasticity with regards to healing, like very general healing. It's something I think about constantly, and I'm working hard to implement in my life. It's easier to think than do, you know? Maybe you don't know, but I know that is true for me. And I think everyone needs to know about neuroplasticity. And if I'm going to put it in weird, catchy capitalist terms, like how to hack your way to health. Ew, that felt really gross. Yeah, but I think everyone deserves to know that. And I think it's just a more sciencey way of framing shit that our very old, very magical ancestors always knew. Slurp Queen Slurp, ASMR is awesome. Thanks. Yeah, I look forward to putting that out there for you. I just had someone leave me. I'm sad. Okay, being a sensitive, water dominant ENFJ is like one person leaves your live stream and you're like internally crying about it for the next 20 minutes. On that jokey note, yeah. Unless anyone has any pressing questions or comments, I think I will let everyone chew with this thought tonight. I'm pretty sure everyone tuned in. Why do I always comment on this? Whatever. I'm pretty sure everyone tuned in right now. It's in the same rough time zone as me. So, oh, hi, hello. IR Brownish. Jeffrey says, no catchy capitalism. Ugh, you're right. That was nasty, right? Once you start talking from the heart and soul and then you kind of switch over into gimmick language, you really feel the difference. IR Brownish says, I don't have a question, but I was fascinated by your FI breakthrough. Loved it. Yeah, honestly, my friend, I was thinking of you throughout this entire conversation. And the nice comments you've left for me, and just thinking about your journey and how it sounds similar to mine. And yeah, I hope that this was especially helpful for you, and for folks like you and like me. So thanks, everybody, for the feedback. Yeah, I keep telling I keep telling people to drop comments letting me know what they want to see next. Tell me what you want to see next. Please, please do. Drop comments. That would make my frickin' day. Yeah, okay. I'm terrible at goodbyes. And I'm drawing this out. But yeah. Ira Brownish says, "Oh, thank you. You're welcome." So you heard my slurping. Now you can hear this. Mwah. That's for everybody who needs it and who wants it. Okay. Take care.